Hey guys, it's Scott Stoltz with Teaching to Lead, and we are sitting in, we have like a 30-second lead, and we're sitting in a really crazy hot room right
It
now.
is like a sauna. It's cold today in Boston, so the
It
building
is.
decided to put on it's like an igloo hot in here.
It is. You're right, I forgot about that. It's so hot outside. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so cold
It's
outside.
cold. It's the opposite of hot. It's cold.
It's kind of like the coldest day of the year so far. So,
It's the wind chill. It's the wind chill.
so for those of you who are tuning in, again, it's Scott Stoltz with Teaching to Lead, and thank you for checking me out now or checking us out now or later on. And as you know, I like to bring to you amazing stories, awesome stories of people who are doing good things, and more importantly, or as important, who are creating amazing fulfillment in the work that they do. And I happen to be sitting right now with somebody. Her name is Jamie Cholaki. And hi, Jamie. It's
Hi.
awesome to be here with
It's
you.
really great to be here with you, Scott, and thank you so much for your time and for this platform. I think it's wonderful what you're building for yourself and what you're creating. So thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And Jamie and I met recently in the last couple of months and have gotten to know each other a little bit. And we thought, or I thought it would be a great opportunity to bring Jamie's story to this audience and a lot of your friends and family and peers and others as well. So we're going to dive into that in a minute. And I ask you up front. So what I always talk about is thinking about what are the things that bring or help bring and create fulfillment in your life. And I promise you this, if you stick with us for a few minutes, you're going to hear an amazing story of somebody who is doing just that, proactively creating fulfillment in her work. So, Jamie, are we all good with your video?
Yes, I think we're
Awesome.
all good. Yes, I wasn't texting. I
No.
was sharing. I was trying to get more of the message out there. So I just want people to know that.
So, Jamie, we have, thanks for doing that, by the way.
Yeah, no,
So,
thank you.
we've been spending a few minutes getting to know each other some more, and I think your story is awesome. Let's start with this. I don't always like to go so chronologically. You're somebody who, from a service perspective, has been helping people for a long time. And before we get into some of the work you're doing today or these days, what is it about? What's one of the things over the last 15 years or so when it comes to helping people, helping women that you love? What's one of those things that gets you excited every day?
Yeah, so one of the things that gets me excited so I'm a hairstylist by trade, and I would say it's that moment where after I've done a woman's hair and I hand her the mirror and I spin her around and she's able to take a look and she just like is smiling and she's able to feel beautiful or better because there's a joke in the industry that we're therapists. We do hair and we're your therapist at the same time. So whether it's feeling lighter because we've taken length off or feeling lighter because of just talking and interacting, so I would say just making women feel beautiful, like inside and out, through the process of my work behind the chair.
I love it. I like it. So, and I like the whole, what did you say, therapist?
Therapist.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of the ladies out there will be
Yeah,
able to relate.
I'm actually cheaper than therapy. Some people might dispute that, but
So how long have you been doing this?
yeah. So I've been doing hair for about 16 years now. So
And you told me a little bit about the story and when you started, and somebody had made a suggestion to you that they thought that your creative personality would help. What do you think they were insinuating, or maybe what's your take on that? Does it take a lot of creativity to kind of customize work with each girl that you help?
yes, so I definitely feel, so just to backpedal a little bit, I was going to college and I wasn't finding my fit, and one of my friends was like, I think you should be a hairstylist. And the more I researched and found out about it, I think why they suggested that is it is a certain personality trait, and it's just being able to be, you have to be a good communicator, it's a lot of responsibility. I mean, we've all had a bad haircut, so I can really make or break somebody's esteem. But I think what they were trying to share was that there is a certain personality to it, and it's not for everybody. It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of hustle, but it's also super rewarding.
Does some of the hustle come in from having to find your own clients? Is that how it works?
Yes, I would say that is part of the hustle. And then if you're working in a larger salon, even though it's a supportive, hopefully you've found a supportive salon, there's still some sense of, you know, separating yourself from the other stylists in that kind of a mentality and a hustle. And then, yeah, staying relevant, you know, staying on top of the trends, you know, where the direction of hair is going and things like that.
So let's fast forward then. This is, and we'll be in and out of all the things that you do in your work, but you're having a big week. This is a big week for you and an amazing week, and it just so happened to align. Jamie and I have talked more recently about getting together, and you've announced the rollout of, or at least the introduction of a product.
Yes.
So let's get into that. What are you rolling out?
So
here?
I'm really excited. I feel like, yes, this is a huge week. Because I've had a dream for a while now, and it's actually becoming a reality. So with all the years I've been doing hair, one of the biggest complaints I've gotten from my women clients are they don't like frizz and they don't like static. And, you know, like I'm a perfect example today. It's a crazy winter day. I've got frizz and static, and I waited so I could use my product. But I've created an anti-frizz, anti-static hair serum, which is infused with the essence of amethyst gemstone, so amethyst crystal, and it's really unique. There's nothing else on the market like it.
So did you know a lot about, for example, I want to make sure because I don't know a lot about these products. Did you know a lot about these crystals before, or how did that come together?
Yeah, so I'm originally from San Diego, California, so I like to think it's a little bit more of a free spirit, and from a young age, you know, my sisters, we would have crystals and collect crystals. And then there's one product that's on the market that I admire that has actually ground up pearl in it. And so when I started thinking, like, what's the biggest issue that women are facing with their hair, frizz and static, and then I was just naturally drawn to amethyst. And so the more I researched and found out about amethyst, that it is a natural negative ion. So negative ions are what are in the blow dryers that help to eliminate static, that it can actually handle heat, can handle high degree of heat, and yeah, it's like a natural crystal, so you're going to get some beautiful crystal shine in your hair.
I will just say it smells good.
Yes.
It smells good.
Yes.
What's the smell come from?
So this smell comes from essential oils. I'm still fine-tuning the exact fragrance. I want it to almost feel like you've walked by a blooming jasmine bush.
Wow.
But yes, this right now has some jasmine, neroli, and peony essence in it, and it's going to be as naturally sourced as possible, as well as we really want to make it here in the U.S. I don't want to sound, you know, political, but I don't even know if that sounds political.
No, that's great. You want to have it made here in the USA.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
That's a really, you know.
So some more around, did part of this idea come from because you had clients who were not happy with frizz? And I'm not saying it was your doing, but does that come up a lot?
Yes, so definitely that comes up a lot. Frizz, static, and it's really fascinating because we are, you know, lip balms, for example, we kind of are learned or taught to apply those throughout the day to keep your lips hydrated, or lotion if you want to keep your hands hydrated. But for some reason, we put a product in our hair and expect it to last all day. So it's probably soon to announce, but I'm actually working on a second product that's going to really blend with this one. But I would say frizz and static, and dryness. So the fact that this is going to have rosehip oil and avocado oil in it, those are natural, really small molecules. So what's fascinating is, like, if you look at the hair shaft, they actually go into the hair shaft. Mm-hmm. So they're not sitting on the outside, so they're not going to weigh your hair down, but they're going to hydrate and moisturize from the inside out, which in turn gives more shine and reduces frizz and static.
Is there anything that guys who watch this video now or later can take out of this? What's one thing we can take out of it?
I think that if you have a woman in your life and she is crying or like, I hate my hair, or frizz or static, just know that she's not intentionally trying to drive you crazy, and that it's like a common. But as far as, like, if men can use this, of course, you know, this is a product that everybody can use, but I think that it's going to resonate more with women because it's also wanting to bridge beauty and mindfulness practice together. So one of the things that's also going to make this unique is I was introduced to mindfulness the years I lived on Nantucket, and that, for those of you that don't know, it's a concept of just being very present in the moment. And so I can only speak from experience, and I know when we were chatting a little bit too, Scott, how we are our own worst critics, and we're all so self-critical, and yet we're able to really be cheerleaders for everybody else in our lives. And so what I'm wanting to ask women is, in the morning, most women do their hair in the morning, and they spend less than 5 minutes. Obviously, if you do your hair at night, you can do this in the evening, but working with this product while you're putting it in your hair, looking at yourself in the mirror and, just saying, you know what, I'm doing the best I can. I am worthy. I am beautiful. Like, watch out. I'm going to take over today. And so each one's going to come with a amethyst affirmation. So an affirmation on a card that you can put on your mirror, you can carry in your wallet, you could give away. Hopefully you won't throw it away, but if it doesn't, if it doesn't resonate.
But let's spend a couple minutes on that, because that's what, your product, I'm sure, is fantastic, and I know it's going to do really well. But your story, the part that jumps out to me too, is this, where mindfulness and helping people beyond just a product, right? And so let's uncover that a little bit, because I think it's awesome that, in addition to, and I'm just interjecting my opinion after talking to Jamie for a while today, you clearly have an intention to help people and to serve others and to help them with self-esteem and confidence. Yes, and partly physical appearance, but also to probably open their eyes to some stuff. So first of all, what is driving you? What's one of the things that's driving you to do that? What made you wake up one day and say, I want to also not only give them a good product, but help them in other areas of their life?
Yeah, so it's so rewarding getting to be behind the chair and impacting my clients on a daily basis. And I think what kind of naturally happened is, if I have a client that's going for a job interview or going to have a difficult conversation with a loved one, we would talk about it in the chair, and then they would text me like, oh, it went well, or I got a good, and so it felt really great to be able to impact them the days that I wasn't behind the chair. And I just thought, this is something I've been doing. It's really fascinating what kind of led to this. I'm in a relationship, and I'm dating somebody, and when I turned 30, I treated myself to a Chanel perfume, which was a really big purchase for me at the time, and I would only use it on special occasions. Special occasions would use this. And then one day something negative happened, and I was like, you know what? I want to feel good. I'm going to use this today. And then I started using it every day. And so one morning when I was getting ready, just like sometimes we were just observing, he shared with me, he's like, I really enjoy the moment that you put on your perfume, because you feel like you're present, and it's like an enjoyment thing for you. And so I think sometimes we don't realize what we're doing, until we have somebody kind of sharing that. And I just thought, I do that with my beauty products. I do that with my makeup, with my other hair products. And I was like, wow, wouldn't it be great to try to introduce that to others who probably might even be doing it, but just not aware, and just bringing it present in that, 10 seconds. And then going back to, making certain your kids get breakfast, or letting the dog out, or, what soon will be shoveling the snow. But just in those 10 seconds, how could it affect the rest of your day if you just are like, you know what? I am doing the best I can. Like, I've never run a business before, and I'm doing the best I can. Or I've never been a mom before. I'm doing the best I can. Or my husband's away on traveling, and what if we started having those kind of conversations with ourselves? Because I know other people encourage each other. Like, if you have your family, your friends, and they call you with a hard day, you're naturally going to be like, hey, I believe in you and you're doing great. But why aren't we doing that more for ourselves?
Do you think that as you grow and expand, and this product and offer other products, is it going to all be predicated on what you're talking about there? That whole, this is stuff that's going to help you, start your day right and get you thinking about a lot of these other things, right?
Yes, I would say so. I think what we were talking about earlier, and I think it's amazing, the work that you're doing and what's kind of led you to to create
Teaching
teaching to lead. I'm dyslexic and I want to say leading to teach. That's why I paused you guys, because I knew it was teaching.
Well, and it's a big week for you.
Yeah.
Understandably,
You're so nice.
your head is in your product, so
Yeah.
it's okay. I don't expect you to remember my stuff, but go ahead.
But there is, I think, a time in one's life where it all just comes together. All the hardships, all the successes, the failures, the non-failures, kind of. You might not know what day it happened, but just like, oh, this all makes sense, and it's kind of jumbled together and helps you understand the path that you're going on. And so for me, starting to practice mindfulness and meditation, those are things that have worked. Like, I notice a calmer sense about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is also just the time in my life, but I just feel like these are simple, free. It's free to meditate. It's free to say something nice to yourself in the mirror. Those are things that are more from an inner place. And so
I love that I'm taking from your story that, and not that everybody does this, but sometimes people open a new door or put out a product because they want to make money. They want to progress. They want to go to that next step. And not that there's anything wrong with that, stealing from Seinfeld on that quote, but it's your intentions and reasons behind this. I'm seeing two things. One, you've had an awesome journey where you're right. Like, you probably wouldn't have been in a place to do this even 2 years ago, right?
I don't think I would have. I don't know if I wouldn't have been. Yeah, just because of maybe like circumstances or actually limiting beliefs. I mean, I've been a hairstylist for over 16 years. I started my business, which is renting a chair within a salon 3 years ago. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago I started to identify more as an entrepreneur. And it's funny, my father was recently visiting, and he's always seen me as an entrepreneur. So like in 6th grade, I used to get a lot of cavities, which was embarrassing because he was a dentist. And
well, at least you had a free dentist.
Yeah, exactly. And I also started gaining a little weight, and so he was like, you can have one sweet a day, but you can have whatever you want, but just one. And so like the next week, I realized where the bus would drop me off, there was like a little liquor store that sold candy for like 10 cents or whatever. So I started buying the candy and then selling it on the playground.
Oh my gosh.
To fund my.
That's awesome. That's
my candy, my chewy candy.
Mm-hmm.
So, from a whatever age 6th grade is, I guess I've always had that instinct, but just didn't even start identifying with it until a few years ago.
Did you ever have a point? You've been doing this for a while now, where you were a little frustrated and like, oh, I'm ready to go out and expand more as an entrepreneur, as a business person, a businesswoman. But you just weren't ready yet. I mean, it keeps you plenty busy. It's a lot of work, like you described earlier. But did you have patches before where you're like, oh, I want to go do more? And how did you handle that?
So I'm glad I've grown out of this stage. But when I was in my late 20s, one of my really close friends opened up a salon, and it was her time. Mm-hmm. But I felt jealous. I felt like I want to be where she is now. And now I'm so proud of her and so successful. And, she's actually somebody I really admire and look up to. But I think one of the things, and this might not be answering, your exact question, but when I first moved to Boston, I didn't have a clientele. In the industry I'm in, you have to really build, and I was able to land into a salon and built up a clientele in less than 3 years that, allowed me to leave. But it was never my intention to leave. I always saw myself in that salon, just being a lead stylist or working my way up. And eventually, like, it wasn't resonating or aligning with the direction I wanted to take my career in. Mm-hmm. And, it was a big kind of leap of faith to leave that. And I'm thankful towards the end. I learned a lot, and that it did get a little uncomfortable, because sometimes working with a lot of women, and, there is that kind of the ego that it's really pushed me. Like, I don't think I would have, 3 years ago ever thought, oh, I'm going to launch a product. And it's a product that is encouraging women to feel beautiful inside and out. And it's actually a product that's unique because it feels like everything is already invented. You know, nothing else has amethyst crystal in it. So I'm really grateful for that. You know, I feel like I've learned from everything, but I'm grateful that the universe saw that I wasn't meant to just be working for somebody else. It was time for me to start working for myself and building my own dreams.
Yeah, and as we know, you know, and I talk about this all the time with so many great people, you know, you take that leap, you went out on your own. That experience, and it probably was a little scary, but as we talk about a lot, when you feel the fear, that means you're doing something good. And you're doing something that's worthwhile and worth pursuing. But that probably prepared you for what you're doing now, right?
Yes, exactly. So I've always wanted to have a salon, and I still feel like I do. But you know, if maybe I had jumped from working for a salon to immediately having a salon, not being an independent stylist and renting a chair, who knows if this, you know, concept or this would have come about. You know, eventually maybe, but I do believe that I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason, and so it comes at the right time.
Okay, we have to talk a little bit about some business stuff.
Yes.
So that's just as exciting, and I think your whole story is amazing. So when you do something like this, and I'm going to let you share this, but when I'll tee it up, when you do something like this, there is a business aspect. You can't just roll out a product and say, hey, hopefully some people like this, and you have to pay the bills. You have to build your product so that it's long-term sustainable. And you've gotten involved with something called I Fund Women, which I'm going to let you share. But also, like, what are some of the business steps that you've had to do to get where you are today, where this is out there for people to use and to buy? And what are some of the things that have helped you get this launched?
Yes. So I would say the first thing I had to do was get out of my own way, instead of just talking about it, like actually. Yeah, after a long, you know, 12-hour work day of being behind the chair, like sometimes the last thing I want to do is really research, you know, ingredients on the internet and things like that. So what I would say, getting accepted into the iFund Women platform, which is amazing, really helped to get me a little bit more like, okay, let's stop talking about it and let's actually get it going. Because initially I was planning to be able to launch in June, and this has just really escalated it so much further, which is exciting. And so for those of you who don't know iFund Women, it's a crowdsourcing platform that's specifically for women entrepreneurs. So one of the cool things I learned is since 2007, we've created about 30% more businesses, which means we're creating more jobs, but women entrepreneurs are still not getting the equal amount of funding. And it's, you know, a lot of it's bootstrap. You know, I've used my credit cards to, you know, further along things, and I know a lot of other women entrepreneurs have. So this is a platform where it's specifically to support women entrepreneurs, and it's where you can actually pre-order the product. So what is generated from the pre-orders is going to actually help me bring this to fruition even faster to market. And so I launched yesterday, and around 4 o'clock, and what's really amazing is it's been less than 24 hours and I've already raised close to $2,500. So I want to just thank all of you guys who are watching, who contributed. Like, thank you so much. I know I'm going to add the link in the comments. And you know, if you're, you know, it's the holidays, if you can't contribute financially, if you could just share, if you could, you know, this is going to go on for 60 days, so after the holidays. But just, this is my dream. You know, we all have a dream, and it's just amazing. You know, there's a few people I don't even recognize their names that have contributed, and I'm like, wow, like, that's awesome that somebody saw this and it resonated with them, and they've, you know, they want it to come to life.
You are I think the work that you're doing, you're already a role model. I mean, I have met some of whom names I've seen scrolling across watching this. I've met so many amazing women this year in Arizona, out west, and here in Boston, and I really admire what so many of you are doing. And I've never been one to look at the gender differentiation. That's just me, where I come from, having had a strong mother, and had two amazingly strong grandmothers. But you know, you're serving and helping women, and I think you're a role model already. Do you stop and think about how important it is to do things in the right way and serving and helping others because you might, maybe not quite yet, but you might have a lot of people looking to you and looking up to you eventually, with stuff like this and other work that you do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think it's really interesting because with social media, I mean, there's local business women in the Boston area that I've looked up to, and when I've seen them at events, like I've made the effort to go up and say, "Oh my gosh, I loved whatever blog you did," or and that is starting to happen now with me. Like somebody last week sent me a text like, "Can you be my mentor?" And I was like, "Sure,"
That's
but
awesome.
I really have no idea. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I literally don't know what I'm doing, people. That's how you do it. You just go one foot in front of the other.
Totally.
But yeah, I do think there's a responsibility to give back. One of my favorite quotes by Paul Mitchell is "Success unshared is failure." So, being open and sharing like this I Fund Women, they're still accepting applicants. If you're a businesswoman and you're in a startup mode and you want to get some support, like go apply. The worst that could happen is they say no, and the best thing that happens is you have a crowdfunding campaign and your dream could be coming to fruition. And so, somebody shared that campaign with me, and what if they hadn't? What if they were like, "Oh, I'm not gonna, share this because I want." The less people that know, the less competition, and it's like, at the end of the day, I feel like we're all just getting one day ahead. And there's this great proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so
I love that one. I've never heard that one
yeah,
before.
I like it too. And so yeah, I mean, it's great to be a role model, and especially it's interesting how the dynamic with my relationship with women have changed, because in cosmetology school, going to school at like 1920 with 200 girls, we weren't always.
Was it competitive?
It was competitive. It was like a lot of mean girls. It was like a lot of, "You can't sit with us. We wear pink on Wednesdays." To now, it's like I feel like everybody's welcome at the table, or can sit with us. Like I a few years ago went to the Boston Business Women's Be Bold conference. I didn't know anybody, and this one amazing woman, Stacy Travers, just saw me kind of like looking, and she's like, "Do you need a place to sit?" And I doubt that she knew that like that meant so much to me at the time. Like, yes, thank you so much for inviting me to sit with you at this like 1,000-person conference. And when they had their second conference this year, I did a post like, "If anybody's going and you need somebody to sit with, like, I'm here to sit with you." And like that might sound so silly, but a lot of times it's scary if you're a new entrepreneur and you're new to business. Like I remember last year, I didn't even know what an elevator pitch was, and I was somewhere and a woman was like, she seemed to be so like, "This is what I'm doing," and then she handed me the microphone, and I was like, "I'm a hairstylist." And now, somebody recently, I said something when we were at Boston Speaks last week, and I did a quick little elevator pitch, and then somebody was like, "What's an elevator pitch?"
Wow.
And a part of me is like, I totally admire you for asking, because I had to Google it, and B, like, this is what it is.
That's great. It's like the tables turn. That woman, by giving you a seat, giving you a seat at that table, and the doors that it just psychologically that opens for you, and now you're going to pay it back too in how you welcome in other people as you go on your journey. I love that part of the story. That's amazing. It's something we can all take in too. So speaking of elevator pitches and applications and all this, I did see this on Facebook. You have applied for TEDx Talk, right?
Yes.
So, okay, we'll jump in.
Yes.
So what are you doing with that?
So this is actually the TED Talk, the one that's happening in Canada. So I learned recently too the difference between TED Talks and TEDx Talks. And TEDx Talks are local, so not anybody, but you meet these qualifications and you can host a TEDx Talk. And then this is the TED Talk, and this year it's the Age of Achievement, Age of Amazement. And so it's a process. You did a 1-minute audition and video, and then I'll find out next week, and then you get invited to New York and kind of learn their scripting process or that process, and audition again, and then the potential to be on the TED Talk stage in Canada. But I just was, for me, that would be amazing to get on that, but it was more of like just pushing myself out of the comfort zone, because 3 people sent me the link to audition. And a part of me was like, oh, like, I don't know. I'm fighting a cold, and something in me was like, you know what? Why not? Like, what do I have to lose? I don't get called back. I look silly on YouTube and I delete the video. Like,
Wait, let's go 1 inch deeper on that
Yeah.
one, or a mile deeper on that, because I love this part of stories. Because we, as human beings, the way we're wired, our first reaction and inclination is to come up with the excuses and to let those fears paralyze us, or cripple us. I'm sick. I don't have time. What would I talk about? You and I were talking about a little bit about that. So you clearly flipped it and said, no, I'm going to do this. What were some triggers? What went through your head? Let's give an example or two that helped you say, no, screw this, I'm going for it. You're right, it doesn't matter if you get picked or not. Hopefully you do, and if you do, awesome, and that's a whole other experience we'll share. But what triggered you to say, I'm not letting my fears cripple me?
Yeah. So it's to answer that question, I'm going to go off on a tangent really quick. So I think my goal this last year and in the year going forward is to stop asking for permission, to be comfortable, or not that I like ask for permission, but there's still people in my life that it's great to bounce ideas off of. I'm like a daddy's girl, I like that, but to just do it. And if people like not have to get that, oh yes, do it, like that approval. And so I was sharing it with a family member, and they were honest, and they were like, I watch TED Talks all the time, and I just don't think you have enough life experience. And so I have to say, if you tell me I can't do something, you're probably right, but I'm also going to try it. So it was just more of that. But it kind of sat in the back of my mind, like, well, maybe I shouldn't, this and that. And then I was like, like, why not? Like, just why not? So
first of all, they're not right when they say that, but I get your point. It's almost like a moot point whether they're right or not. It's a little fuel for you.
Exactly. Right? And I realized it was their way of protecting me, or showing their their love and support. Like, well, what if your video isn't good? So, and then that's okay too. Like, that's why it's good to do soundboards off of. But I think going forward, I'm going to stop asking more and just start doing.
I love it. That's a great message of all that we've talked about, from the products in your history to how you help other people and are going to help people, to some of the things you conquered within yourself. I love it. You're an amazing story. So let's wrap and spend the last minute or two. What's next with your product? Because you did just roll it out this week, but what are like the next couple months going to look like for you?
So before we wrap it up, I just not to like take over, but I wanted to give you an amethyst crystal. So one of the cool things about amethyst is a lot of times people wear, like, I have an amethyst bracelet, or they carry amethyst, and it people believe it brings serenity, peace, prosperity, and so I wanted to give you one, and you can pick which one you want, and which one resonates with you.
Okay.
And you can see, like, well, you guys can't see, but some look really like rocky rocks, and then some are like pretty crystals. And there's no judgment, Scott, if you go for a pretty crystal.
Okay. Say the name one more time.
Amethyst.
Amethyst crystal. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I won't. And purple when I was a kid was one of my favorite colors, but there's a little purple tinge in 3 of the 4 of these. I'm going to take this one.
Awesome.
I like this one.
That's a good one. Yeah, so you can just carry it. You can put it somewhere on your desk just to kind of remind you. I actually like this one because it's not very polished, and it looks a little, it's like coming through. Like, you can see it shine. Like, we're just starting to shine. Well, you're shining, but it's not perfect, and that's what I love about these, is it's just a reminder that we all, through like a rock, you can find a gemstone.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a little rugged, not to sound like a guy, but this is like, it's a little rugged.
It's a rugged amethyst.
Yes, I like it. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
So much.
Yeah, so just, carry that.
I appreciate it.
If you feel compelled to, pass it along to somebody else, like, definitely.
I will keep that in mind. That in mind.
But so what's next for the product is once I get the funds, not my funds, but the funds, that's going to really help bring the product forward. I want to be doing some workshops to help women feel better, like, how do I style my hair, and also introducing mindfulness and I never didn't mention it sooner, but I'm also co-founder of Beauty in Boston, which is an online platform bringing beauty professionals and also potential clients. And we're going to start doing some workshops. So, like in February, we're going to do a vision board and affirmation creation workshop because I do believe, I'm a visual person being a hairstylist, and it's really helped me to see my, just put pretty pictures of things that I'd like to invite into my life.
Well, I see that Claudia's watching, and who better?
Hi, Claudia.
Hey, Claudia. She will be amazing, I'm sure, at helping you get a lot of people at that event.
Claudia's
right?
amazing. She really is. She's an amazing woman, and somebody I definitely want to spend more time with. And if you people don't know Claudia, I definitely would suggest reaching out. She's an amazing woman to know.
Hear that, Miss Claudia Thompson?
Yeah.
So, and where can people find you online?
Yeah, so my social media is Cholaki, Cholaki Beauty, and then my Facebook page, Jamie Cholaki, and then I don't have a website. Yeah, I have a business of 3
You know
years.
what? You don't need, by the way, you don't need to do what you're doing. It'll be nice to have when you have it.
It's coming. Website, so it'll say coming soon. But the biggest thing too is just I fund women. It's that simple, and there's amazing women out there. So if this my project doesn't resonate with you, you might find one that does, and so just check it out.
Jamie Cholaki, you are one of those amazing women.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah,
I really
love this story.
it.
I've learned a lot today. I really have. And please, for those of you who stuck with the live version or you're watching this later, the biggest takeaway I would say, and hopefully a little spark to a call to action, is think about ways. So, Jamie was doing really well in her business, both independently and, formally when she worked for a salon, but she felt the calling to help people at a whole other level, and give that some thought. What other things can you do? We'd be surprised. Very rarely have I met people who did exactly what they had in their mind 5 and 10 years later. Often you find that along the way of your journey. We talked about that earlier too.
Yes.
And Jamie clearly found hers, and we know she has a lot more to come. So think about ways in which you can help people and bring that. And by the way, you can do it while getting paid and making really good money. It's not just about giving stuff away for free. So I think there's a lot of great lessons in your story today.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, this was really great. I think it's wonderful what you're doing too. Like as entrepreneurs, we do meet such amazing people who like where they were and where they've come, and to be able to bring people's stories and share that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks for being part of this story.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Love
Thanks,
hugs
everybody.
and sparkles.